Are you ready for a new adventure? Time to travel back in time, let's go! Are you ready for a new adventure? Let's learn about the past with Anna and Leo.
Hi friends! Welcome to Unlock This, a podcast from Honest History, where we join our friends Anna, Leo, and Percy on adventures through time and uncover some really cool stories along the way. My name is William. I'm 6 years old, and I love learning about history, especially new stories that I don't hear about in school. I can't wait for today's story, and I think you're gonna love it too. So let's dive in.
Anna, you're back. How was your trip?
It was great, but I'm glad to be home again. Did you get my postcard?
Oh, no, I didn't. You sent me a postcard?
Yeah, I sent it while I was on my trip. It should have gotten to you by now. I wonder what happened.
Do you think it got lost?
I hope not. Maybe it's just stuck somewhere, and it will get here eventually.
You know, this reminds me of a story I heard.
A story about postcards getting stuck in the mail?
Well, sort of. It's a story about mail that wasn't getting delivered, and it was a big problem. Have you ever heard about the 6/888 Central Postal Directory Battalion?
I haven't. What was that?
It was a battalion of women who served during World War II. It was nicknamed the 6/888, and these women had a very particular job to do, something that other people had tried to and failed.
What was that?
To make sure the soldiers fighting in Europe got letters from home.
The soldiers weren't getting mail from their families?
Nope, and these letters were very important to the homesick soldiers. It gave them hope and something to fight for.
Oh, hi, Percy! Leo was just telling me a story from history. Maybe you've heard of it. Do you know who the 6/888 were?
I think he does. Look, he's nodding his head. I bet Percy could find something in the vault about the battalion. What do you think, Anna? It could be our next adventure.
I think that's a great idea, Leo. I'd like to learn more about this postal battalion. I have a lot of questions. Like, why was it so hard to get the mail to the soldiers?
Well, if Percy takes us to the right place, you'll soon see for yourself. Look, he's opening the vault. Let's follow him inside.
Percy, wait up! I think he ran over there. This way, Leo.
There he is. He's by that shelf across the room.
There's a lot of boxes on that shelf. I think he wants us to open one of them.
He's pointing to this box. It says WAC on it. I wonder what that stands for.
Percy says it stands for Women's Army Corps.
Then we're on the right track. The 6/888 was a part of the Women's Army Corps. This box must be filled with stuff about it.
There's a lot of papers in here. Where do we even start?
How about this? It's a newspaper and it looks pretty old. The date at the top says it's from 1945.
Check out the headline. It says Battle of the Bulge. What is that?
It sounds familiar to me, but I can't remember.
Maybe it was a battle during World War II? And look, I found an old photograph in the box too. It's a picture of a building. I wonder what it has to do with the 6/888.
Well, I think we might find out soon. It feels like we're about to travel. Hang on, Anna.
Leo, we're here. Now the question is, where are we?
We must have traveled to a city. There are a lot of people and buildings around us.
Do you hear that? It's a bell. I think it's coming from that giant clock over there. And wait a second. I recognize that clock. It's Big Ben!
Big Ben?
Yes, it's a famous clock in London, England. Which means we must have traveled to London.
England. Yeah, that makes sense. The 6888 were sent to England for their first mission. So they must be around here somewhere. But how will we find them? Anna, I think the woman next to us is getting into that car. Let's get out of her way.
Hello there. You must be Major Charity Adams. I'm supposed to drive you to the WWII headquarters.
Did you hear that? That driver is headed to the WWII headquarters. That's the Women's Army Corps, remember? That might be where we need to find the 6888. Let's get inside that car before it leaves.
I think we're definitely on the right track because that woman getting into the car is Charity Adams. She was the commander of the 6888. Come on!
Leo, can you tell me more about the 6888? You said it was a battalion of women, right?
Yeah, the 6888 was made up of women of color, including over 800 Black Americans. Just like other officers, they did basic training where they learned to climb ropes, spot enemy planes, march, and evacuate ships. But even though they were trained and ready to go, the Army wouldn't give them an assignment. For a long time, the unit was stuck in the United States, and this frustrated Charity Adams.
Why were they given an assignment?
At the time, Black Americans faced a lot of discrimination in the United States. At first, the Army didn't want to send women of color overseas to help the war, but this slowly began to change. The First Lady, Eleanor Roosevelt, and the civil rights activist Mary McLeod Bethune said these women should be allowed to go. And so, in 1945, the U.S. Army finally sent the 6888 on their first mission overseas.
Leo, I think we're at the WWII headquarters. Charity is getting out of the car. Let's follow her inside. Look, she's over there. It looks like she's talking to another officer.
I think she's getting the 6888's assignment. Charity knew her battalion had a job to do in Europe, but she didn't know what the job was yet. As we speak, the rest of the 6888 is getting ready to travel across the Atlantic Ocean, and they have no idea what they'll be doing when they get here.
Percy said Charity was just told the 6888 will be a part of the Postal Directory service. Let's get closer so we can hear what they're saying.
Major Adams, the 6888th Postal Directory Battalion is responsible for the redirection of mail to U.S. personnel in the European Theater of Operations. That is the mail of about 7 million people.
7 million people? That sounds like a lot.
The 6888 will be stationed at the King Edward School in Birmingham during their assessment. You'll take a train there tomorrow. One of the battalion's first tasks is to get the Christmas mail to the troops from the Battle of the Bulge.
Leo, did you hear that? That officer mentioned the Battle of the Bulge. Didn't we see that in the newspaper we found in the vault?
That's right, the Battle of the Bulge. I'm remembering it now. That was a huge battle that happened right before the 6888 came to England. A lot of the U.S. soldiers fought during that battle, and there were piles of mail from their families that still needed to be delivered.
So that's why Percy showed us the newspaper about the Battle of the Bulge. The battalion had to make sure the mail got to all those troops after the battle. We figured it out, Leo.
And you know what that means. Hold tight, we're about to travel.
Hi friends, are you enjoying today's episode? I'd like to take a quick break from the story to tell you about another great place to learn about the past. Honest History creates magazines and books for kids that are filled with fun stories and activities that bring history to life. From pirates to spies to great inventions and so much more, you'll learn about interesting people, places, and events from around the world that made history. Created for kids ages 6 through 12, you can sign up and receive new adventures delivered straight to your doorstep every quarter. Just visit honesthistory.co. That's honesthistory.co to sign up today. Oh, and here's a special offer for our podcast listeners. Use code UNLOCKTHIS for 10% off. Again, that special code is UNLOCKTHIS. Okay, let's get back to the story.
I wonder where we are now.
I'm not sure. I think we're in some kind of building. It smells a bit damp in here.
Damp and cold. Wait, what was that? I saw something run across the floor over there.
Where? I don't see it.
There, look! I just saw it again.
Leo? I think that was a rat. A really big one.
Gross. Oh, sorry, Percy. I didn't mean all rodents are gross. I have nothing against mice.
Leo, I think I hear people. It's coming from the room over there. Follow me. Look, some women are painting the walls and sweeping up the floor. The building looks a lot nicer over here. Do you see that room across the way? It looks like some kind of giant lunchroom.
Wait a second. Those women are wearing army uniforms. They must be a part of the 6888. And I think that room is their food hall. It's where they eat their meals.
So this building must be the 6888 headquarters, right?
Yes, I think this is the King Edward School. The 6888 were sent to an old school to start their assignment. The building wasn't in the best shape, so the woman had to tidy it up and make sure it had everything they needed. You see, the battalion wasn't allowed to use the facilities that the white American soldiers used, so they had to make their own. The 6888 set up their own food hall, sports teams, and even made their own hair salon.
So they were really starting from scratch here.
Yep. I wonder if we can find the rest of the battalion. They must be around here somewhere.
Percy said to go this way. I think I can hear something. Leo, look! I think we found the rest of the battalion. And it looks like they're sorting through boxes and bags.
Aha! This must be where they work. All those bags are filled with mail.
Really? How did they sort through all of that?
Well, it wasn't easy. The 6888 were only given 6 months, so they had to work long hours. The unit was broken up in 8-hour shifts, and they worked 7 days a week. In just one shift, they could get through 65,000 pieces of mail.
I can believe it. This looks like a serious operation. But Leo, there's something I don't really understand. How come the soldiers weren't getting letters from home? And why was it so hard to deliver mail to them?
Well, it worked like this. When a soldier was sent to Europe, they filled out a card with their new address. That way, the postal service knew where to send it. Each time a soldier moved, they had to fill out a new card with their new address. Each time a soldier moved, they had to fill out a new card with their new address. Sometimes they moved so often, they were filling out 2 or 3 cards a week.
So the soldiers were moving a lot.
Yes, faster than anyone could keep up with. And sometimes the new address card wasn't filled out or received. A letter would show up, but the soldier wasn't there anymore. So a lot of mail couldn't be delivered, and it was sent back to the U.S.
And there were probably a lot of address cards if people were sending new ones all the time. How did they keep it organized? And how did they know that they were using the right address?
You're right, Anna. The 6888 discovered that there were thousands of addresses for just one person. They had to go through each one and make sure they found the correct address so the postal service knew where to send the mail. And there was a lot of mail. There were 6 warehouses filled with letters and packages from Christmas time. Usually, these warehouses were used to store airplanes. But instead, they were filled with mountains of mail. And some of the packages were in pretty bad shape. The 6888 were like detectives, piecing packages back together and trying to fix them up as best they could.
That sounds like a lot of hard work.
It was, but the 6888 knew their job was very important. They had a motto. They said, no mail, low morale. They understood how important it was for soldiers to get letters from home. Hearing from loved ones kept soldiers' spirits up. It gave them hope.
What's that?
Uh-oh, I think that's an air raid siren. It warns people there might be an attack.
An attack?
Yeah, the 6888 were stationed in Birmingham, England. Birmingham had been bombed before, so people were on high alert in case it happened again.
Well, maybe we should get out of here. Is there somewhere safer we can go?
I think some of the officers went this way. Let's follow them outside.
Hey, the siren stopped. Percy said that means the coast is clear. I guess we're safe.
Yeah, I don't think Birmingham was bombed while the 6888 were there. But the women would often hear the air raid sirens. It reminded them that they were close to the war, a lot closer to the war than their friends and family back home in the U.S.
Hey, Leo, look. Now that we're outside, I can see what the King Edward School looks like. Doesn't the school look like the building we saw in the picture? You know, the picture we found in the vault?
It does. So that picture in the vault must have been a picture of the school, the place where the 6888 worked during the war.
And if we're right, you know what that means. Hold on, Leo. I think we're about to travel again.
And we're back in the vault.
What an adventure. But Leo, I still have some questions. What happened to the 6888? Did they ever finish sorting through all the mail?
They did, and they finished the job in just 3 months, faster than anyone expected. After that, the battalion was sent to France, where they sorted through even more mail that had piled up. Thanks to the 6888, thousands of soldiers finally heard from their families and friends.
And we saw how much mail there was. The piles almost reached the ceiling. I still can't believe they were able to sort through all of it.
And it's taken a long time for the 6888 to get the recognition they deserve. In fact, it took over 50 years. It wasn't until 1996 that Charity Adams finally received a letter of appreciation for her work.
Well, it's about time. Like the 6888 said, no mail, low morale. Those letters gave the soldiers what they needed most: hope.
Exactly. Speaking of mail, I know the mail is usually delivered in my neighborhood around this time. I wonder if I got your postcard today.
Let's go check your mailbox.
Welcome back. That sure was a great adventure. I don't know about you, but I'm gonna tell all my friends about this amazing story. That's all for now. But if you want to learn more, be sure to check out my favorite magazine for kids, Honest History. There's a ton of stuff to learn in each issue, and I love the fun activities and questions. Bye! This episode was narrated by Nikki and JoAnn Schinderle and written by Heidi Coburn. The production was read by Robot Pirate Media. To learn more about Honest History, visit us at honesthistory.co and follow for updates on social media.